Long-term safety data has been released with regard to nusinersen in the treatment of infantile and later onset SMA, and findings identified that the safety in patients with longer-term treatment up to 4 years were consistent with those previously reported. And John, you've touched on some of those as well. Julie, how do you counsel some of your patients when you're discussing the possible benefits and potential adverse effects of treatment with nusinersen, and how do you establish some of those expectations?
So I think that it is important to establish expectations early on. That's a really good point, Crystal, in terms of what we're expecting. And what we expect in a patient who's treated is that they will maintain function. If we're treating them very early on, then that hopefully that their function will be enhanced. So I think that presenting the data that we have for the trials, for the ENDEAR and the CHERISH trial, presenting the data that we have to families really is important to look at. And we do know that over the extended period of time, 4 to 5 years since the initiation of treatment, that we do continue to see stabilization and improvement in motor function. And I think it's important to show parents that graph so that they actually really understand that this isn't something that is lost. And again, we also know from the nurture study that earlier the treatment, the better the outcomes are. So I think that piece is important. In terms of the side effects, the downside is the delivery system, which is intrathecal, which means that the babies do have to, or children have to undergo serial spinal taps. And that can be uncomfortable and not terribly attractive. On the other hand, the safety profile, I think, is incredible. So we do safety monitoring prior to every dose of nusinersen, including coagulation, platelet counts, and urine protein. And in the long-term data that is available and was presented recently, there's just about a 2% rate of thrombocytopenia, about a 6% rate of protein in the urine. Not all of it is actionable. I think the biggest issue is really the about 5% or less post-LP headache or post-LP syndromes that some of the older patients experience. So I think counseling them about that is important. I think that we can prevent, and we've learned a lot about helping with LPs, and we can prevent some of the syndromes by making certain that patients are very well hydrated prior to coming in, that we make them comfortable. I think there are things that we've done in terms of the delivery system that have helped over time. So I think that nusinersen has shown over this period of time that it's an amazingly safe drug and clearly effective in terms of treatment as well.
The ENDEAR clinical trial evaluated nusinersen in symptomatic infants.